Is that caller for the radio program, John?
Sure is. We've got Jared.
Jared. Now, there's several Jareds have called in over the years. Is this the one that needs to get converted?
This is the most recent one.
I didn't hear that, was it?
The most recent one?
The most recent one. Yes, Jared. How can we help you today?
Well, as you know, I told you before that I don't necessarily believe in evolutionary theory, even though I've been kind of being the defender for it.
Uh-huh.
I think that I pretty much accepted it today. I was in the bookstore. I was at Borders reading through some books on evolutionary biology by Stephen Jay Gould and a few other people. And I don't know. I kind of crossed a critical line, I think. Something about the clarity of it just kind of came through all of a sudden.
So what evidence did they give you today?
It was mostly looking at the fossils, just the fossil record.
Okay.
That's something that you can't get very much of on the internet. You tend to get text explanations of things and a lot of scientific labels and taxonomy and stuff like that. It's really hard to understand if you don't have images in front of you. So I picked up a book. It was a fully illustrated book of prehistory, the dinosaurs and stuff like that. And the progression was just startling. I picked up a book called The Book of Life or something like that by Gould.
I have that book here, yes.
Yeah, I think it was like page 230 or something. There was like a panel of ape skulls and human skulls, and the progression is just amazing. It's hard to see for some reason on other sources.
Well, now hold it, Jared. Are you aware that Stephen Gould is a creationist?
That's not true.
He sure is.
No. Stephen Jay Gould was not a creationist.
He is now. Yeah. He is now.
That's so funny.
He at least knows the truth now.
You know what's funny? I think that he doesn't know anything. I think it doesn't exist.
I think that you hope that's true.
I think that I'm pretty sure it's true.
Okay.
I'm doubting it less and less every day.
I'd say he doesn't exist like you and I do right now, but he definitely knows something.
Okay, well, you believe what you want, but in this book, did they show you reconstructions of the fossils or show you the actual fossils?
They show you the reconstructions of the fossils, but I've also seen images that cover all these different species, I believe, on Talc Origins and other places, and they use color coding to show you what is the actual dug-up fossil and what is the interpolation.
Okay. I think you need to get other interpolations of these. It would be common sense to get several interpretations of what does this mean.
Even if you don't have the intermediate hominid forms, even if you're in the state of Darwin toward the end of his life, I think that the anatomical similarities between humans and other primates are startling. Yeah, it's always been startling to me, but even if you just throw in one or two, like Homo erectus, Homo habilis, those are like really right between.
Okay, if there are anatomical similarities between apes and humans, what does that prove to you?
It proves either that there's a common designer or a common ancestor, one or the other. There's no other choice.
Yeah. Why are you choosing the common ancestor instead when we never see apes produce non-apes today?
Well, they never did.
I mean, everything we see today produces within a narrow range of similar...
It always does. It always has.
Why do you think it was different in the past?
I don't think it was different in the past. I think that it's operating exactly the same way it is today as it always was.
Well, you're confusing me here because you're saying that you're believing in evolution more and more, which would say apes and humans had a common ancestor.
Right.
But yet you're not offering any evidence for that.
Well, yeah, there's fossil evidence, there's DNA evidence, and there's homology evidence.
Well, the DNA evidence is becoming less and less supportive of the idea since it's now up to 7.7% difference in humans and chimps.
That's still pretty remarkable, I think.
Even at 1.6%, Barney Maddox said, "Look, this is a 48 million differences. It's not going to work. 3 changes in the nucleotide is usually fatal."
Look at where it's coming from.
Let's talk about that, Frank.
If you look at where it's come from too, they said 1-point-something% in the past, just a few years ago. Today they're saying 7.5%. What are they going to say in 6 more years when they have more of the genome decoded? What are they going to say in the future?
We'll see. I always thought that 98% was too much for chimps and humans anyway, but it's kind of beside the point.
I mean, even if you look at it, there was another geneticist that was talking about this. I think it was Dr. David DeWitt, who's a neurologist and a geneticist.
Yeah, I read part of one of his books.
Well, he was saying that bananas are 50% similar to humans.
No, that's a different kind of measurement. That's talking about gene similarity.
So
that's the commonality of genes themselves, not the distribution distribution of genes in the range.
They do the same thing with humans and apes, trying to show out the genes and where they are.
No, when you hear these like 90, 95, 97, whatever percent figures about humans and chimps, they're actually talking about direct DNA comparisons. Like when you try to mate the DNA strands together, the extent to which they mate successfully is a percentage.
Okay, could we take a couple of books written in English and lay the sentences out parallel to each other and find similarities where they both have the word the in the first position in the sentence, and therefore prove something by that? Suppose we find two books that are 96% similar in their sentence structure.
In their sentence structure, that's not what we're talking about here.
Well,
we're talking about like you have like two books, and one is like 102 pages, and one's like 96 pages, and then like 94 of the pages from the 96-page book are entirely included in the other one, and then on the other parts there's some similarities and dissimilarities.
So there's been practically no genetic change between the time of the apes and, diverged and became human?
Less than 10%.
10%? That's all
Less than 10%. 10% is a conservative estimate.
So less than 10% of genetic differences would change. That is expressed in the way humans compare themselves to apes? We're only less than 10% different. So that less than 10% gives us a conscience, clears off all this hair, allows us to walk upright.
I think apes do have a conscience in some sense. I think that they're not totally. They're not totally on the side of the animal. Less than 10% would also, I guess, apes. I've seen an ape. Well, I'm not going to get into that. Yeah. I've seen some apes do some pretty weird things. I've seen some humans do some pretty weird things.
Yep,
yeah, I've seen. Oh my goodness! I've
seen some humans that make me want to believe in evolution.
Why is that? You're hoping they'll be naturally selected out?
No, well that too.
Darwin Awards or something.
One professor I debated, said he believes in evolution. We came from ape-like ancestors. I said, oh, so the more hair you have on the body, the less evolved you are. Here, open your shirt. Let's see what you got. He was one of the real hairy guys. So obviously he has not evolved as far.
That's very funny.
So, what kind of work do you do normally, or do you go to school, or?
I'm actually a grad student. I'm in the PhD program in pure mathematics at Dartmouth College.
At Dartmouth, in the math department?
Yes, PhD student.
Okay. What do you hope to do with that?
Probably get a postdoc or a tenure-track position at a university teaching math.
All right. Our time is up on the program. Appreciate you calling. Tomorrow, we'll be live here at 4:30. Tell your friends to call in. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.